Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7 and today we are checking out the Boker Plus Max. And that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's going to be worth adding to your collection or your daily carry. Now I did buy this knife myself. This was designed a collaboration with Weir Knives, Matthew Weir. And this was OEM'd by, I believe it was actually OEM'd by Boker. I know they use different OEMs for different stuff, but I believe they actually OEM this knife. Now, jumping right into it, as far as the scales go, we've got titanium scales, front and back. The texturing is completely smooth, so I guess there's no texturing, except for these 3 notches that we have in the scale, which are mirrored over here. And it's nice that they extended it to the lock bar. We do have T8 hardware for the pivot, and then we've got T6s for everything else. And we do have a deep carry milled titanium non-reversible pocket clip. And then we have about a 50% back spacer and no lanyard hole. So no love for the 6 lanyard people that are still out there. As far as the ergos, this knife is not super big and the handle's fairly thin. Despite that though, it's still a 4-finger grip. I've got large size hands. I have a little bit of space left over here and just a little bit of space over here. I could choke up and then I've got room for a whole other finger back here, right? So you can also loosen your grip a little bit, kind of spread your fingers out and get comfortable. So despite the handle being relatively thin, this is a comfortable carry. It does feel nice and lightweight, and we are balanced right about where we want to be, just behind that pivot. We do have some jimping. The jimping is actually relatively functional. It's not necessarily going to lock you in completely, but if you want to strengthen your grip and lock in, the jimping is definitely functional. Now we do have a clip point style blade with a very nice satin finish, but we do have hand satin on the flats. We've got some billboarding that I'm not a huge fan of. I think they could have easily fit this on the back. We've got 133 right here. But to my knowledge, this isn't a limited run, so I'm not really sure what that stands for. Then on the back of the blade, it says Weir Knives, and we are rocking S35 VN. And then we have a flat grind. So it'll be, with a fairly robust blade stock thickness. So this is going to be pretty good for general EDC use. It's going to be fairly slicey, but with a robust tip, it's going to be fairly pokey too. So this is really just equipped to be a handsome everyday carry that's going to be able to handle 99% of your EDC tasks. I mean, I'm not saying I would break down, a ton of boxes with it. If I've got to cut boxes for 2 hours or do something that's a little labor intensive. This isn't going to be the first knife I grab, but as far as just something daily that you can use to break down a box or 2, open letters, stuff like that, cut tape, this is going to be perfect for that. Now, we are riding on washers, and typically with washers, you get some pretty stiff action. Now, I did have to spend some time breaking this knife in. Typically what I do with washer action or with washers in general, is I'll spend time just deploying the knife, doing a finger roll, and breaking them in. With this one though, it was stiff enough that I actually took the washers and rotated them on this sandpaper, and that just helps to break them in quicker. You want to be careful doing that because you don't want to remove so much material from the washer that it's not even with the other washer. So just a couple of passes, just rough up, the finish on the washers, put them back in. You're instantly going to get smoother action. You're still going to likely spend some time breaking it in, but it definitely speeds that process up. Now, I will say this knife was kind of a pain in the ass for me because I had to do a lot of tuning to the action to try to get it right, and it's still not quite there. So the deployment for a washer knife is fantastic. Obviously, that's after I've done a tremendous amount to break it in. And then the disengagement, it sticks right there at the top because of the blade's not heavy enough to break the washers. And then with a little bitty shake, we now have kind of this shake shut action. And I just wish that we could get a little drop right here at the top, because then the action would be incredible. As far as the acoustics go, nice snappy deployment, and then a nice high-pitched little ting on the drop. Disengagement is very comfortable. They didn't give us a ton of room, but they did give us some, I'll just say some jimps to get a hold of. So you can just get in there, grip it, plenty of room. So once it breaks in, it's going to be a lot better. One thing I'll say is the detent isn't very strong. And I'm probably going, and it's hard because if I tune the lock bar tighter, then it's going to be harder to get this drop shut action, right? But if I tune it looser, well, it's already loose enough. Like watch, I can deploy it without deploying it. See? So, you know, I'm a little too tight at the top to where I can't drop shut, but my detent's actually a little loose because ideally you don't want to be able to flip it out. Now we don't have any detent lash. Well, actually, maybe just a little. Yeah, maybe just a little bit. No side to side, no up and down. So, I mean, it's locked up. I think part of the reason I can flip it out, though, is because you see how much blade we have sticking out from the handle. I mean, a tremendous amount, right? So, you know, less handle to grip it, you know, a tall blade relative to the handle. I say tall, but what I really mean is the blade matches the thickest part of the handle, and then you've got less room back here to actually hold on to the blade, right? So you can see how much that blade sticks out. Now, is this lefty friendly? It's not reversible, but I can kind of flick it out. Not very well. There we go. Which means if you're a lefty and you want to use this knife, you're going to be able to. The lock bar doesn't present too much of an issue because you can get on the pocket clip. And see, that's what I mean with a lighter detent, is there's nothing to break, right? A good detent, good action is going to allow you to build pressure and then break, and then the blade should come flying out. This one here, yeah, see? If I don't give it some, you know, if I don't put some stank on it, then it's gonna flop out, right? Which is a big bummer. But like I said, if I tighten it up, yeah, I'll get a stronger detent, but then it's not gonna have that shake shut that I'm looking for. Now, if you get this knife and you take it apart to smooth out the washers or to lube it or anything like that, this over here, the pivot is captive. It has a notch in it, and if you're not paying attention, like I have to line the notch up and then push it down, and I'll get a click. And here, I think it'll be better if I just show it. So I've got that flat piece up top. And then if I look at the pivot screw, oh, you know what? I'm actually tripping. Forget that entire thing. It the flat piece up top actually matches the pivot screw that's already in there, right? But you see, naturally, they're separate, and then you kind of, before you put this screw back, you kind of have to push and hold it down and make sure that they're flush. Otherwise, whenever you try to put the knife back together, it's not going to be centered, and it's going to drive you crazy. And I'm totally speaking from experience here, because I could not figure out why I couldn't get it centered, and then I saw that it was captive, and I needed to make sure it was lined up. A little bit more. Yeah, we're hugging the lock bar side just a little bit. Oh, okay, so we're entirely too tight now. Okay. Yeah. See, this knife is very sensitive. And some of that might be user error, admittedly. There we go. I think we're back. So I'm going to keep trying to break it in. Really, the reason I got this knife was I love the aesthetic of wear knives. And that's because I'm a big fan of the thinner handle profile, and I like to see blades sticking out, right? But also wear knives, you know, are anywhere from, you know, on sale, you can find them for like $325, you know, but they're fairly expensive knives. Even the production knives are fairly expensive. So seeing this collaboration with Boker, yeah, see, it drives me nuts. So I still have some tuning to do to get this where I want it. So it's like, it's smooth for washers, but at the same time, I would love to have a stiffer detent. So I might try to smooth the washers out a little bit more on the sandpaper, but then also tighten up the lock bar a little bit. But for me, this was really about aesthetics. Now, as far as the dimensions of the knife, we've got an overall length of 7.6 inches, a blade length of 3.3, and then a blade to handle ratio of 0.78 or 78%, which means that, as you can tell, this has good blade to handle. Not quite that 50-50 look, but pretty darn close. Very handsome looking knife. And you can see we don't have a ton of room left at the bottom, right? I mean, we could have gone maybe another 1/8 of an inch, but we're pretty close to a 1-to-1 blade to handle ratio. So very happy with that. Now, what's the price on this bad boy? Well, the full retail price is $281. Now, that's not the price you're going to pay. Street price is going to be, I want to say, right around like $237. And then I was able to get this on sale a little bit deeper, so I think I paid $180 all in for it. You know, and to me, that's perfectly fine to me. You know, for $180, titanium construction, S35 VN, very handsome looking knife. I mean, that's fine by me. Now, one thing I realized is the question I ask at the end is this something that you would carry or something that you would collect? I've been asking that question wrong the entire time, because I ask it in a way that makes it seem like you would do both, but not everybody does that. So what I'm going to ask from now on, essentially the same questions, but a little bit differently, is would this be a daily carry, or would this be a collection piece, or does it not interest you at all, right? So for me, this would not be a collection piece, but this would be a daily carry, right? And the difference is, for me, with the collection pieces, I get them sometimes because I want to use them, but mostly because I think they look awesome, right? but they also have to be kind of premium for me to consider it a collection piece. So this is something that I would EDC, but I wouldn't actually consider it part of my collection. Now, what about for you? Is this something that you would EDC? Is it something you would collect? Maybe something you would do both? Or is it not even on your radar, not your style, you know, whatever? Either way, let me know down in the comments below. And if this knife does have a spot, no, I can skip that because I already asked that. But if you do like this knife, I will have it linked at the best possible price I can find down in the description. I don't have any affiliate links, but if you like this review, like the video. If you want more reviews like this, please subscribe. And then you could follow me on Instagram and TikTok at SEVRSEVN. That's Sever7 SEVRSEVN. Thank you so much for the love and support, guys. I can't tell you how much it means to me. I appreciate you so very much. And until the next time, peace.